Good morning, everyone. It's Brenda Quintana here. Can you believe that it is the week of Christmas? I can't. I'm still getting ready. But the good thing is that once Christmas arrives or whatever holiday you celebrate, whatever didn't get done didn't get done. Let's move on. And it will all be good. It doesn't have to be perfect every year, or at least I don't think it has to be perfect every year. Good morning, Marty. Good to have you here. So, today is Casing Tuesday, and that's the day when we take a card out of the catalog and give it a makeover. And today's layout is perfect for a last minute Christmas cards or last minute card in general. So if you don't celebrate Christmas, you probably have other celebrations in your life, and this is a good layout for that. So we're going to play around with this layout a little bit this morning. I have made two cards with the layout, and we're going to take a different pattern of paper and explore, and maybe you can help me with some choices this morning. So get ready to help me. Good morning, Mary. And we will make a card together. And I hope you will join me and share your card over on the Casing Tuesday Facebook group. I know you're all busy. It's a busy time of year. A lot of people are getting together with family and friends. We are heading up to Canada on Thursday. I think we're still doing Thursday. We're trying to get ahead of the storm. I think that is going to come on Friday. We're keeping an eye on it, seeing if we need to leave any earlier. But I will not be going live for the next 2 Fridays. And also one Tuesday. So next Tuesday week on Tuesday, I will be posting a card on my blog, but I won't be going and doing a live, just because I'm up in Canada, and you can see my card, and we'll skip a week, and I'm sure a lot of you are going to be busy as well. But I will be back in January with my regular schedule, and I'm looking forward to that. But I'm also looking forward to spending some time with my family. We are going to see my husband's parents, my parents-in-law, and our son will be up there as well. So we will get to spend a week together, and it's going to be lovely. My mother-in-law, she is totally into Christmas and celebrating any holiday, and her place is always looks wonderful. She's a wonderful cook and entertainer or hostess. So I feel very lucky and privileged that I get to spend that time with them, and enjoy that experience. And if you're one of those people, if you're one of those family members that creates that experience for everyone, thank you, because right now I'm at a time of my life where I don't do that. I hope maybe one day I will be that person. I love to bake and cook, but it's just hard for me to be that person that does all the decorating and cooking and all of that right now. So I know I fail in some of those aspects, but I'm okay with that. And I am happy to go spend some Christmas time with my family who does do that. Good morning, Janine. Glad you're here. Okay, so let's take a look at today's card and this layout that I've been talking about. So we start off first with the card. Here's the card, and I think you might look at it and go, whoa, that's hard. It's not at all hard. It's just a bunch of labels and some designer series paper in the background and some cord, or you could choose ribbon to support it. It is what I think is an easy layout, and I'll show you how I translate this into my easy layout. So here is the sketch. Oh, press the wrong button. Here is the sketch. So you can use just regular plain rectangles. You can use fancy dies like I'm going to use, but this is a nice easy layout, and those are the dimensions, and you can find those over on my blog or the Casing Tuesday Facebook group. You can go to either place and find them. Okay, I'm gonna switch over to my other camera so we can get started and make the card. Good morning, Cindy. And Cindy joins us from snowy Everett, Washington. I saw some pictures from Vancouver, which is on that same line, Vancouver, Canada, and they got a lot of snow that they normally don't get. So I hope you guys have everything you need in the house, because I think traveling will be difficult today. All right, let's switch over to my other camera. You can already see my cards. Okay, so this card here resembles most closely the card from the catalog. And I changed the layer of the paper because I felt like I wanted it like almost a full layer of this beautiful paper in the background. So I changed that background layer a little bit. And I'm using some labels. This is from using Christmas to Remember. And I'm using the seasonal labels dies, and they're actually, there's a huge label die set. So I think we're going to delve in and use some of those dies today too. We're going to add to our thing. You're going to help me build the card today, okay? So this is the easiest way to build the card. And I just embossed in white embossing powder this greeting, and I backed it up with this label, and then I just added cord. Very easy card. It can be even easier. This is white paper right here. So because there's a lot of white, I decided to put white writing on dark cardstock here to make this pop. But this paper right here doesn't have any white in it. So if you can do a white label, and now the white label pops, because the greeting on this card is the focal point. You want your eye to have a place to look at when it looks at your card. You don't want it to be confused. So you want to say, okay, look at me right here, or look at me right here. So different papers, you might need to employ different strategies to get that effect. So, and you can see that cord back there is not very bright. It's just kind of very subtle in the background. If you had some different color cord, you could, if you had red cord, that might pop that a little bit more too. But the cord can just kind of be just slightly in the background. And that was in the original card. Okay, so today, I have to talk about this paper. This is the Painted Christmas Designer Series paper. And if you want a good deal on paper right now, this paper is 60% off in the catalog. It's 12 sheets of 12 by 12, and it's only $4.80 in the US right now. And there is still paper available. I checked this morning just to make sure. This is really pretty Christmas nature paper. It has this pattern, and today we're going to use this pattern, but it's got other patterns in it as well. And I just wanted to show the flexibility of the paper by using it, using another pattern from that group. So we're going to use this pattern, and this piece just measures 5 inches by 3 3/4 inches. And then we'll have a card base. We're going to use the same color card base. This is 8.5 by 5.5 and scored at the 4 1/4 inch mark, and then just fold it, and let's flatten it. And then we're going to just go ahead and glue this on here, because I know that this layer, I don't have to add anything to it. We'll just take this and glue this on here. This is just a pretty card, just like this too, right? So now comes the choices. What are we gonna do to this card? So, you know, we could do a label like this. We could do a label like that. I was thinking that if we do white on white, it might not pop so much. So I was thinking maybe on this one we would do, we could either do evergreen or we could do cherry cobbler. So we could, okay, here are your choices. We either do a cherry cobbler label just like this one, or we do an evergreen label with white embossing powder on it. I'll get my, so we'll choose red or green. So this will be a green label, and we're gonna add a pine cone, I think, afterwards. So red might give it a little bit more contrast since this is all green. So we might have a little bit more of a pop of a color because this paper is very colorful and so is this paper. But this paper just has, well, two colors in it really, has different shades, but it's got a green and a brown in it. So by introducing some cherry cobbler on here, we might liven it up a little bit. Or we could add berries on here to liven it up afterwards. So choose between an evening evergreen or a cherry cobbler paper. I think then what I did is I'm going to cut that out with this label right here, whatever one we choose. And then the smaller label, I ran this through earlier with some gold foil sheet like that. And then I cut it in half on my trimmer. And that's going to go right behind the label like that. Okay, so the reason we do that, I mean, we could cut two of these labels, but most of the label won't show. So just cutting one and then sticking it behind on either side works really well, and it saves you just a little bit of the gold foil sheet. So, and it gives it just a little bit of oomph right there, just like the original card. Okay, Janine says green and add berries. Okay, so we're going to try the evergreen one. All right, so we're going to take, this is from the Embossing Editions Toolkit. This is the little, it's like an embossing buddy. And basically you rub it over your cardstock, and that way the stray flecks of embossing powder won't stick to it. We're going to take Versamark, ink up our greeting. I'm going to use the same greeting as before because I want to show you all like the difference between all of them. All right. And I always like to close up things when I introduce embossing powder because you don't want to dump embossing powder accidentally onto your Versamark pad. If I spill some onto my surface, it's not bad, but if I get it on my Versamark pad, it's going to be harder to clean off. I dumped my white embossing powder into a little container, and that way I can sprinkle this on and then just tap it. Oh, you can see I didn't do a good job. Tap again and tap it. If you notice that you didn't get all the areas, you can just sprinkle it again. Give it a little tap. And there is the powder on there. And now we need to melt it. Also move your embossing powder out of the way so you don't accidentally melt your embossing powder in its container. I am reaching around and grabbing my heat tool. Put it on the highest setting, and then I'll just go ahead and emboss this. I can see it's being embossed by, and you might not be able to see this on the camera, but as I emboss this, it is turning white. All right, so we're gonna use our mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. I call it the Mini Boss. Oh, and if you want to get one of these, you don't already have one, and if you're not already a demonstrator, and if you don't have the starter kit, this is going to be part of a starter kit special that is starting in January. And this is the white one, but we're also gonna have the blue one, and actually it arrived on the weekend, so maybe at the end I will unbox it and show you. So we're gonna have 3 different starter kits you can choose from, and the starter kit for $129, you will get this little baby for free, and you'll get to choose $175 worth of product to put in your kit. Like, this is an unreal deal. You will love this, but this is coming up starting January 5th. So I will be talking more about it once January hits, but since we have the Mini Boss out today, I wanted to share with you. So this is some Post-it note tape. You can use just the top part of a Post-it note, just cut it off the Post-it note, and you can have the same effect. That's what I used to do, but now that I use this a lot, I decided I would get some on a roll because it's faster and easier for me. Okay, and I am just gonna stick that down. We're gonna run this label through. Oh, and one more thing. If you have the Mini Boss, it tells you to use your number 1 as the bottom. Don't use number 1 if it's too tight. Use number 3. On my machine, I use number 3 and it works beautifully. Number 1 is too tight, and you have to do kind of this funky thing with the layers, kind of staggering them, and I didn't use my Mini Boss for a long time because of that, and then someone told me about using the number 3 plate, and I am so happy with my Mini Emboss now. Okay, so we've got our label, and this machine doesn't go too far. Oops, just dropped one of the plates because I am going to use it to cut out a pine cone. Okay, so right now we're kind of, it's pretty, but it's a little dull, right? We're gonna add some things to this. Okay, let's have a look at our little die cut. Maybe we should add, I'm having a look, we need some berries for sure. So, we can do, I'm going to add some berries. We're gonna Stampin' Cut some berries. Let's grab berries, and we need cherry cobbler. We're gonna do cherry cobbler on cherry cobbler. We're gonna just do some berries here. Okay. All right, and then maybe we should do some greenery. I am not good at arranging the greenery, so we've got to decide what we're gonna do. I think we're gonna do, we could do some, this is pine needles. Let's maybe do some leaves. I was gonna do a pine cone too. Maybe do like one little pine cone. Let's do one little pine cone. And I've got a piece of Sahara sand here. Let me pop this onto, we'll use, I'm trying to decide. We'll do early espresso with a pine cone. We'll stamp that on there. All right. And then, let's see, this will cut, yeah, that will cut the little pine cone. Okay, and then we're going to add some greenery. I'm trying to think which greenery would look the best. I think maybe some holly leaves let's do holly leaves. And I want to do, this might be, I'm gonna grab some mint macaron. No, I lied. I'm gonna grab some soft succulent and we'll stamp our leaves on there. Decisions. And we'll see what we've got. I am not the layering queen. There are some people that are just very good at that, and I am not. So this card looks good to me as is, but we're gonna try and enhance it just a little bit. Okay, so I'm taking, this is Evening Evergreen ink on soft succulent cardstock. All right, I don't know if we're gonna need more leaves. Let's do a second batch. Turn this and put this like this. Okay. And I think we just need one pine cone, but maybe I should stamp another one. So a lot of times when I'm creating cards, and I've told you this before, I do a lot of experimentation, and I end up with a lot of die cuts, and I play around a lot. So that's what happens when you're creating a card. You have to experiment, and you don't be scared to cut things and stamp things and, you know, try and work with all the products that you have and create things. Okay, so let's bring him back in Mini Emboss, and we're going to grab our number 3 plate, a clear plate, our little pine cones. We're gonna pop this on here. And run this through. Okay. Pine cone number 1. Oh, you know what? I just realized this is actually a 2-step pine cone, isn't it? That's why it looks a little wonky. Okay, back to the drawing board. We need, okay, let me have a look at these pine cones in the thing. I was just wondering about that. We can add, let's do crumb cake. Okay. I'm getting there, guys. Not all together this morning. Good morning. All right, we're gonna, I don't know if I can stamp over top of this and make it work. We'll see. Okay. Let's see if we can, let me see if I can do this. And stamp on here. I'm trying to see where I'm stamping. Okay. I think I'm just looking if I stamp this in the, yeah, I think that's right. That's the way the pine cone's supposed to look. Okay. All right. I am back to die cutting. All right. Let's come back in. There we go. So this morning, I right before I got on here, I put a loaf of bread to bake in my bread machine, and I'm hearing this little noise in the background. That's my bread machine. I was like, what is that noise? We're gonna have fresh bread later this afternoon. Okay, so that is the pine cones, and we're gonna come in and we're gonna die cut the holly leaves. So you are getting some fun designing of my card. experience. Some of these things, when I'm doing cards in advance, I do some of the die cutting in advance. And, the die cutting machine can go in both directions, but if you're right-handed, it's probably easier always to start on the left side and then crank through. And actually, the easiest way to use this machine is, okay. I'm just trying to see. I think I'm just a little bit off kilter. The easiest way to use this machine is not going through like this. It's actually if you turn it like this and then have it go out the back. But the way my camera is situated, it makes it hard. So I'm always kind of doing it from left to right rather than from south to north, which actually would be easier to crank for your hands. Okay, holly leaves. And now we need holly berries. Where are you, little berries? Oh, and I see a stalk. Okay, we're gonna have to cut some of that too. Okay, so see, this is a little too wide. So we're gonna come in with our trimmer and just make this a little narrower. Okay, so the little berries. You're probably thinking to yourself, I wish Brenda had pre-die cut some of these. I just realized now that we could have the berries could go on little stalks. This bundle was actually a bundle that came out last year and carried over. And I haven't used it this year because I used it last year. And so I've forgotten all the intricacies of this bundle. Okay, so we got those. And there is a little stalky thing, this little guy here, which can kind of create like a little branch. So why don't we, there's enough room on here. Let's cut a little branch to put the berries on. And then you're gonna help me decide how to put this all together. Okay, let's see. There's just enough room, I think, to put that in there. Have that go back. All right. Okay. I think we've die cut enough pieces now for this whole thing. All right. Come here, you guys. So first of all, what I want to do, let's add these little gold pieces to the card. So what you can do for this, I'm going to use like a little bit of tear and tape. So I'll just use a little tear and tape. If I had time, you could also use liquid glue, but it's better with the liquid glue if you let it dry in between adhering it with foil sheets, so because foil doesn't penetrate the glue so well, so it's better to let it dry and then it's still sticky. And then we're just gonna take this and peel up the double-sided part, and then I'm just gonna layer this on here. That. And do the other side about the same distance on either side. It's pretty easy to line up because you've got those little pieces like that. Okay, so we've got that. This will be our label that goes across. You know what? We might not add the gold thread this time. That is up for debate. If I'm doing the gold thread, I just put tear and tape here and here, and I wrap a circle of it around on that tear and tape. So let's take a look. We're going to like maybe tuck a couple of leaves in here. It's looking, it's like not really very, what should I say, it's not being very noticeable right now, so we can kind of stick this on here. Let's do that so we have a little handle for our berries. Okay. We're trying to arrange this a little bit. What we might do is add a little gold foil bow. Add this onto here. Dot, dot, dot. Add some berries behind here. Okay, now it is looking a little messy. So let's do this. This is why sometimes they have these like die cuts that kind of just work, and they already have all these little pieces cut out, so you don't have to kind of figure things out as you go. Okay, this is looking like I've been too symmetrical. Okay. That is just not popping, is it, at all, right? That is a little bit, I mean, it's a very subtle kind of background. I feel like my idea for this card, let's see, if I put this on top, maybe if I had stamped on white, it would pop a little bit more, because now it's kind of, I think a white label here might have been a little bit better for the overall look of the card. Yeah, it's not popping like I want it to. I don't know, guys. I feel like almost like we need to go back down to basics and just kind of keep this card a little simpler. Or we go in and we try something with a white label and see how that looks. I'm trying to think. We'll do green. I do like the green label, but I don't like the green label with the pine cones. So let's see if it looks better with a white label. And if not, we're gonna scrap the pine cone idea and just go with a more basic sort of card, an easier sort of card. And then we'll, I'll just show you how to finish it off with the twine or the cord. All right, so we're gonna come through and do this. And I say, don't be afraid to experiment, because the only way that you're going to improve, I'm still improving, is if you experiment. You know, I actually like the pieces that I cut, but it's just, I think on the the label the way it is. I think it's too much dark and it's just not popping. Also, I'm highly critical of my cards, so there's that too. Okay, so if we have this on here, and then we add this and this, I think maybe if I had done my pine cones and everything with that white, it would pop just a little bit with the white edge. And like now I'm kind of regretting putting my berries on these little pieces because I feel like maybe it's not twigging like it should. Let me just take one of these off. Yeah. All right. Put some berries down here. Tuck that in. So yeah, I don't know. What do you think, guys? What should I do? I'm gonna come to you and see, do you like this white label, or should I do the green label, or should we just finish off this card with some gold cord in the background here and keep it like all the other cards and kind of make it into like this card set and kind of keep them just all kind of together? I think my idea to add a pine cone is a great idea if I had chosen a more neutral pattern of paper, because this paper is so pretty on its own that it's already like, you know, I'm competing with the paper, and that's like a little bit of an issue when your paper is competing with all the other elements and it's not actually enhancing what you're doing. It's kind of a competition, and that makes it hard for the eye to see what you're doing. Okay, let's have a look. I'm coming to you for advice. Okay, I've got some people saying Marty said evergreen would be her choice. Good morning, Dee. Good morning, Pam from North Carolina. How about holly leaves with the berries as accent and 2 little pine cones? Janine says she can't arrange things either. And copying others is her superpower. Well, you probably don't want to copy this particular card. Do you like my save on the pine cones? Okay. Marty's saying a gold bow rather than thread would look nice. Yeah. Okay, good morning, Ellie. What about a piece of something behind the pine cone? I think it was a spelling error. Just glue the white label over the green so it sort of forms an offsetting for shading. Okay, I'm going to make an executive decision. We're going to, maybe we'll save this and we'll use these. We'll do another card. Okay, let's finish off this card, and I'll show you how I did this gold cord, because that kind of, and then we'll do something with these little pieces. We'll have fun and do something else. Okay, so we are going to grab my tear and tape, and I'm going to put tear and tape right over top of the edge of where my cut label is. I find it easier to work with tear and tape on the back of a label because, okay, here's my poker tool. I've got a lot of things sitting out here now, don't I? I need an assistant to come clean up after my mess here. Okay, so let's pull this off and pull this off. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is we'll stick the end down on here, and we don't want this to come up too far, but we're gonna kind of create a circle. and it's going to get tacked down onto this sticky strip, but it's maneuverable. So if you don't like the way it looks, just move it a little bit. You just move it because you can keep sticking it down over and over again. And then we'll do a little overlap here. Come around here. Overlap here and finish up off over on this side. We will snip there. Okay, and so what is helpful on the back of here, I'm just gonna grab, I've got some little strips of cardstock. Just to grab a piece of cardstock, I'm gonna just trim this off. Okay. And to help this really stick down now, I'm just going to take, this is just a scrap piece that is going on the back of here. Okay. And we're going to stick this down over the gold cord so that it stays in place, because right now that gold cord is not attached in too many places. But once I stick this over top, it's going to really stick everything down so that everything is going to stay in place. Okay, so I've got it going over the gold cord like that. So now you can see your little gold swirls are looking really good. And then we can take some dimensionals, stick one in the center, and then some right in the corners here. And then we'll flick these off. I've got long hair, and often when I'm crafting, I pull my hair back because sometimes I get like pieces of hair stuck into my paper crafting project, and that does not look good. So I try and pull my hair back and keep it out of the way. So then you just kind of come along here and do that. Okay, so let's just shove all my stuff to the side for a second. Let's just focus on this, and then we'll figure out what to do with my beautiful little die cuts so that I went through all the trouble. Okay, so let's have a look at these cards. All of these cards are beautiful. Even this one that I struggled with to add these little pieces here. But any of these papers looks good. Now, the one thing you'll notice, this paper and this paper have white backgrounds. They have white in them. So I used the dark label for that to make the words pop. When you don't have white in the background, you can use a label, a white label, and you don't have to go through the trouble of embossing because this is going to not compete. Now, if I pop this on here, you see how the words don't have as much impact now because there's white in the back of the paper. So now there's a lot of white. So the words don't look as strong. But if I take this off, you can see now like there is a little bit more impact with the dark green. And I like that a little bit better than the white. But for this, I feel like if you have a white label, now your eye is going right there onto that. Okay, so let's see, what can we do? Can we do anything with all of these pretty little pieces? Now let's bring back some of this paper. And let's this time find like maybe like a more neutral paper. I'm trying to think. This might still be kind of, yeah, I don't like that one. Let's find another paper that's got, let's see, what about this one? Okay, I think now we're talking. Okay, we'll use this one. And let's cut it to the same layer as the other one. Let's do 3 3/4. And we're going to do 5. So for this paper here, I think 2 choices. I feel like we can, let's just play with this for a moment and see what we can do. Let's see, we can create something that's gonna pop a little bit more on the paper. See, doesn't that look better? Okay, so now we have a choice. I've got some scrap white here. We'll just pop that behind there because we need to choose a card base color. So we could do just white. Well, that's kind of bland. Let's see. This is soft seafoam. I think we could. White is too bland. I'm just going to make an executive decision that that's too bland. Get rid of that. Okay, so we can just go and do like the dark color, or we can like really blend in. I think this is might be too bland too. Can do like the, now I think that clashes a little bit. I think we'll do with the, we'll go with the green again. Do you think? Or is that too dark? What do you guys think? I think like it kind of like, oh, someone was thinking light seafoam green for a belly band. Let's see. I'm just like looking. I think red would have been better for the berries. It would be brighter. Yeah, I'm okay with having the cherry cobbler because I'm not going to cut it again. So let's just go ahead and kind of do it with this paper right here. And we're going to do 4 1/4. We're going to score this. This is, of course, 8 1/2 by 5 1/2, and my trimmer has both a cutting and a scoring blade on it, so I use the scoring blade. Okay, we're doing this card. I'm gonna put this on here. You know what? I think this time I'm not going to do the little background pieces. I think I'm gonna leave those off and just focus on the card. So we could, yeah, I think I'm gonna just arrange this off camera here. Okay, so see this is the other side of the paper here, which I did kind of the other label. Okay. And then we're just gonna use this label right here. We're not going to put anything behind it. We're not going to put the gold swirl. So we're going to focus on this. Put this here, berries here, and the pine cone here. So what I tend to do, the pine cone's going to be dominant. So I'm going to take the pine cone and stick a dimensional right in the center of it. And then I'm going to pop that right where I want it. Okay. So now I'm going to add the leaves behind there with the glue. Okay. I haven't quite like really pushed down on them yet. So, and then we'll add these little berries. Pop that in there. Okay. Now we'll push down on those. I think we can add maybe one more leaf there. Just on this side. Trying to decide where to put this. Okay, there we go. And then let's do, I'm trying to think, do we add some gold or do we add, got silver. Should we add silver to this one or should we add gold? We'll do a little, I'm gonna do a little bow. I'm gonna grab this. Shall we stick with the gold theme? And should we make it a big one or a little one? I'm debating how big to make this. Well, if we don't like this one, we can do it again. All right, so turn this off. And we'll put that, ooh, I like that. That's kind of pretty. Okay, I will attach this with a mini glue dot because the mini glue dot helps anchor the knot of this. And we'll put that right there, like that. Ta-da! Okay. So I have some leftover pieces, which, you know, I can use to make another card. All right, let's bring things in and just kind of see what we did. Like we went a little freestyle. We've got some different looks now, right? And I think they all look kind of pretty. These three rely on the paper a lot more. And this one is a very subtle paper, right? A very tone-on-tone paper. So this one is better for the use of embellishments because remember what happened on this card? This card had a lot going on. It had too much going on. So we simplified it a little bit, took it down. We are relying on this beautiful paper to make this card pretty. On this card, the paper is so subtle. If you look at it closely, you can see it, and it adds to the card, but it was just, it didn't have enough oomph to it, right? So now adding this little piece to it makes it look really pretty. So I hope you learned something. I know I learned something today. I learned that don't, you know, sometimes you need to stop and not keep going and keep adding things to the card. And then maybe use your pieces on another card, which is what we did. So that is kind of cool. All right. That was fun. I hope you enjoyed that experience. I'm gonna go back to the beginning. I already said hello to so many of you this morning. Oh, I highlighted a comment accidentally, but Marty said I could add some gems, which actually is a really good idea to maybe throw on some gems. I did not add any bling to these cards today. So yeah, throwing on some bling would make the card sparkle even more. So yes, bling it up. sparkling it up, absolutely. Okay, one thing before I go, because I always forget to do this, I get very involved in my cards, but I do also sell Stampin' Up! Products, and I need to tell you about that. If you need supplies, I know it's too late for Christmas, and Stampin' Up! Is very behind on their shipping right now. But you need to get stuff for next year because the painted Christmas paper is retiring and it won't be available next year. So if you want to get that paper, now is a great time, $4.80 for beautiful designer series paper for your cards. That is an awesome deal right now. The other products that I used are in the annual catalog, and we have a few more months left with them. I do feel like they're probably going to retire because they've been around for a second year now. So if you like them, now would also be a good time to pick those up. The die set that I use, the Christmas, I use Christmas season, Christmas to remember, and I use the seasonal label dies. They are all just a really great products for creating Christmas cards. So my host code is right here. And if you spend $50 with me this month, you will get a package of the Daisy embellishments that are in the new mini catalog coming out in January. I will be getting those in January, and you should have them around mid-January if you place a $50 order with this host code. So all the supplies I use today are actually in the Facebook video, YouTube video, and they're on my blog if you need to reference that. And if you have any questions, just shoot me an email and I will be happy to answer them. Okay, now we can talk. Let's have a look. I already said hello to many of you this morning. I hope I said hello to Pam. I don't know if I caught you on the first round. I said hello to Ellie. Dee liked my tip about reinforcing the cord that was looped behind the greeting. That I feel is kind of important because the first time around, it's only attached on a few points going around. So it's good to reinforce that, especially since I am popping it up on dimensionals. If I was sticking that greeting right to the card, that would give it another layer of adhesive to adhere behind. But if you're popping it up, then that cord is just kind of sitting there just on a little bit of adhesive, and it might not hold up to people like touching it. People will touch your cards, right? Because they're very tactile. Do you know like those pop-up books that are, or those board books that they for toddlers, and they have those touchy-feely pages, like the ones with the fur. There's a little dog and it has fur on it, and or something has like a bumpy surface like an alligator, and they have like little bumps on it. Well, people, like when you get a card like this, you want to touch it and feel it. So you don't want your card to come apart, right? Because our cards are not like a traditional greeting card that is flat, right? It's just printed. These cards have layers and you want to touch them. So you want to make sure that they're not going to come apart when someone touches them. All right. Dee said, all of the cards are so pretty. Oh, thank you. They look like a complete set. Maybe use the die cut pine cones as a decoration on a box to put the cards in. That is another good idea. You know, I still have a pine cone, a holly leaf, and some holly berries. So, you know, that could be a good use of leftover stuff. A nice little box. I've been making a lot of cards that could be sets lately. I need to create a little card box to put them in. Oh, Oh no, there's a coyote running across my backyard and he doesn't look too healthy. Oh no, poor little guy. Um, yeah, yeah. There's not. Yeah, poor little guy. He looks like he's got some. He just ran away. Though it would be very hard unless he was staying in my yard to get him help. Okay, moving along. I love wildlife, so my heart is always like looking for wildlife. Okay, moving on. Janine said she thinks red would have been better for the berries, and I think that's true. It could have been a little brighter. But I went with cherry cobbler because that's what I was using for the other cards. So um, we just sometimes have to rock and roll with what we've got sitting out. Marty says she loves the Stampin' Up! Trimmer. She's used a lot of different ones in the last 25 years, and this one is the best. I agree. I have a main trimmer that I use for more of my heavy duty work, but the Stampin' Up! Trimmer is fabulous for creating those fun cards where you have to cut into things, and it's just a good practical on the go trimmer that you can take with you anywhere. I really like it for that. I like that you can score on it too. Um, we have a scoring tool that's better, the Simply Scored, but if you can only take one with you, the trimmer is the way to go because you can have both on the go. Kristen says she also loves the trimmer. And Marty also suggested the gems, which is good. And Janine said silver. I'm sorry, I chose gold. But silver would have been really pretty on that card, too. Anything sparkly would have been pretty. Marty said she liked the long tails on the bow. Yeah, it kind of ended up being a long and skinny bow. And I think that kind of just put the exclamation point on the card with the long tails. So I like the way that came out too. Um, Cindy said she enjoys watching me create and talk. Uh, well, thank you. Thank you for I'm glad you enjoy the process because sometimes we as paper crafters we do a lot of the thought work behind the scenes, and some people think, wow, she's just like so good and it just always comes out. Well, they don't see like the hour that it took to design the card in the background. And so hopefully that's empowering to all of you to know that you can cut a whole bunch of die cuts and not use all of them, or to like start creating a card and go, something's wrong, and like backtrack. And that's okay. That's part of the process. When I do a video, I usually have the whole card design from start to finish and I just show it. But on Tuesdays, I can play around a little bit more and have kind of more of a design process situation. So thank you for bearing with me through that whole thing. Janine said, lovely cards. Cindy said she thinks the last card has her name on it. I love that, Cindy. Um, Dee says, I keep my leftover die cut pieces in the stamp case for future use. That's a really good idea. Okay, I'll do that too, Dee. Awesome. Dee said, such a lovely set of cards. Marty's crying because I didn't put any bling on the card. Yeah. My cards are going blingless, but you can bling up your cards, Marty. I will not stop you. Marty says she loves it when we can be part of the process. Oh, and she also said she loves the tactile board books. We used to have them for Nicholas. We had all sorts of books for Nicholas when he was growing up, and I used to read to him a lot. I read to him almost all the way up until I guess he was like kind of into middle school, and at that point he was like reading at like such a high level that he just wanted to read on his own. It was kind of a natural break. But right up until then, we read. I think I read him every single Harry Potter book. So I I loved that every night. It was right at bedtime, and we would grab a book, and I would sit and I would just read him a book. And one thing I noticed that since we did that was his reading comprehension was really, really good. I think because he got used to listening to me and he was able to just like, instead of just reading the words, he was able to absorb and think about things as I was reading. And it was a really fun experience. It was fun for me because I was sharing books that I had already read. I love the Potter series, so magical and creative. And we read all of those, but we read a whole bunch of other things too. But that one, well, that was my. I had just as much fun reading Harry Potter as he probably did listening to it. Hi, Yasmin. Oh, um, Yasmin placed an order and she received a big package. So, that's awesome. Well, I hope you guys have a very Merry Christmas, a happy holiday season, happy Hanukkah, which is going on right now. And I just, if you don't celebrate either, just I hope you have a happy holiday season. Spend it with friends and family. That's, the probably down to the core of most holidays, no matter what you celebrate or don't celebrate. That is what this season is for, is spend it with someone that you care about. So I wish that all for you. And I will be back next year doing my lives as normal, and I can't wait to see you, but I'm also looking forward to spending time with my family. All right. Yeah, Marty says Hanukkah started Sunday night. Yeah, so happy Hanukkah. I don't know too much about Hanukkah, but I do know like it's a several day holiday, so that's kind of cool. And so, wishing you happy holidays, and we'll see you next year, everyone. Take care. Bye bye.